During our class videos, you may hear our poets and playwrights use terms that are new to you. We have created a list of key terms and definitions that you can refer to at any point during our video lectures. This list is available on the Videos and Readings class page, where you can read it or download it as a PDF. If you would like to find and review these terms while you watch each class video, you can stop this video, go back to the Videos and Readings class page, and download the PDF. There you can play this video and each of the following class videos. If you have any questions about these terms, we encourage you to ask your teaching team in the weekly class discussions. Lisa Schlesinger is Associate Professor in the Playwrights Workshop at the University of Iowa. Her plays include Celestial Bodies and 21 Positions with Naomi Wallace and Abdel Abu Srar. She has received commissions from the Guthrie Theatre, the BBC, Upstart Crow Project, the International Writing Program, Ensemble Studio Theatre, and fellowships from the NEA, CEC International, the Sloan Foundation, among others. She is a recipient of the NEA/TCG Playwrights Residency Award and winner of the BBC International Playwriting Competition, and was nominated for a USA Artist Fellowship. Her work has been published in American Theater Magazine, Performance, Arts Journal, Theater Magazine, and the New York Times. She teaches in the Iowa Playwrights Workshop at the University of Iowa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Schlesinger. I'm a playwright and an essayist. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about structure. It's completely craft talk on what I do when I'm starting out with a new work. And part of how I developed this exercise is because in my training, I was asked to submit completed works, but I was never taught how to complete a work. So it was a hole in my own education, and I've noticed that it's a hole for other people, that people have great inspiration and energy to start something, but they lose that energy and inspiration when it comes to finishing. So these are some exercises that have helped me finish things. John Gardner, in The Art of Fiction, talks about that there are 3 ways to approach story. The first way is just to get really excited and start writing and just see where it takes you, which is a great way for many stories to be told, especially if you're drawing from your own life experience. You have the knowledge to know where the story is going to take you. But sometimes you don't know. You have an idea for a story and you don't know what's going to happen. In this case, he says, it's important to know your ending. And this is the model I follow. I think it's important to know our ending. And an example I give for this is like, if I take a road trip, I need to know where I'm going. So if I'm driving from here, Iowa, to New York, I know I'm going to New York. On my way there, I can go left in Ohio and go to the museum, or I can visit the zoo, or I can turn off the road and go swimming in a pond or visit friends. And any of these diversions will hold with the energy of knowing where my ending is. So for me, this is the crucial model of how to finish a play. The third way you can finish a play is to steal the structure from somebody else. And lots of people do this. Shakespeare did it, the Greeks did it, and people do it every day now. You know, we'll take a common story in the culture and we'll adapt it for the stage, or we'll take a play that someone else wrote and we'll rewrite it, and the structure's already there. This is assuming I'm working on something original, and I'm assuming that you're working on something original. So the first thing I would ask people to do is to consider all forms of a play, and this assumes that we're writing a character-driven play. There are plays that are not character-driven, they're kind of person-driven or idea-driven, but this is assuming that this is a character-driven play, whether it's experimental or traditional. And so I asked students, and I asked myself to collect some things I consider like the treasure or the portfolio behind the play. And these include, and I'll just list them off, photographs of all the characters, a musical playlist that you can listen to while you're writing or while you're creating the play, a poem that has the essence of the play, some photos or drawings of the setting, and any sensual experiences that you associate with the world of this play. If there's a special meal or food or trip or country or weather, or if there are political or social implications behind the play, any research about that would go into the portfolio. So if I need to know statistics or economics or socioeconomic backgrounds of people and I need to do research, I'll keep all of that in my portfolio. And finally, is there a final? Oh yes, and this is important, a model play. So for every play I write, I find a model for myself. And it could be a Greek play, could be Shakespeare, or it could be Lorca. Something that either gives me a good structure for my play or parallel. Let's say it's a political play, I might find a political play that sort of parallels the world of my play. Or if it's a classic plays help me a lot because they're very immediate and dramatic, very focused on action. After that, I will make a map, and this is where structure starts to develop. The map can be a huge piece of paper or can be tiny. I have some examples on 8 by 11 just because they're easy to see. And so we can use the model of the kind of Aristotelian or Freytag's triangle, where there's a beginning, a midpoint, a climax, and ending. And this is often drawn in this very kind of boring triangle way. We can use a linear map, which is a straight line going across the page, beginning to ending, just like that. And we talk often about structures in terms of character arc, because every structure has to follow the character's action. So pretty much anytime we have a character, that character is going to be the basis or intertwined with the structure. So in this is kind of a map of a character arc. The character has to begin and has to end. And everything that happens to the character can be mapped out on this character arc. And many, many stories begin where they end. Only the character is a completely different person by the end of the story. And so I like to look at the circle in this way, that the beginning and ending start somewhere on the circle, and the character, we follow the character all the way around. And once we get back to the beginning, we can see how the character has changed. So this is a bit different from the roadmap in that we don't start out in one place and end up in another place. But often this structure manifests in a way where we have a prologue, or the first scene of the play begins, let's say, today in 2017, and then we go back in time and we find out how we got to 2017. So we might flash back to 2010 and then go to 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. And then once we get back to 2017 and we see the character in the present moment where we saw the character at the beginning of the play, we see how the character came to be in this situation. Just as an example, M. Butterfly is a great example of this structure. Henry David Huang's play, where the character is in prison at the beginning, and then we go back and we see how the character ended up in prison. So at the end, the character is in prison, and we see why. But I do want to emphasize that a map can be anything. It could be a picture of a tulip. It can be the anatomy of the body. It can be a photograph of a flower. It can be a leaf. I often try to find something from the play that represents the play. So let's say it's a play about an astronomer. I might try to find a map made of stars, a constellation, and use that as a map. And the reason I do this is not because, the reason I do it is because it opens your imagination to think about story in the biggest way possible before you set out to write in language in a linear manner with the left brain using language in a very analytical way. It encourages us to think big about what the picture of our play is. Once we have that map, if it's a constellation, a tulip, a train, a map of from here to New York, an architecture, a line, then we can start to put it into something that we can see as a storyteller in a linear manner or a reverse linear manner or in the circle. And we can use whatever we want. But for the first map, I encourage everyone to be as free as you want and make it as big and artful as you want, and to take some time on it, to take more than this 5 minutes, take like a few days and make a big, beautiful map. So once you have that map, then I would encourage you to find where's the beginning, where's the end, and where's the seed scene. And what I call the seed scene is the first scene that you imagined in your mind. What was the first scene that you saw and you knew, this is a play I want to write? And to write out that whole scene and identify where that happens in the map. So those are your sort of basic structural elements. And I'm going to switch lines here because it doesn't have to be a triangle just because it has 3 points. It can have a beginning, ending, and it can have a seed scene anywhere along that line. Okay, after that, I write out on this map everything I know that's going to happen in the play. Everything. So I find points all along the line and write, this is the scene where she loses her ring. This is the scene where she meets the person who's going to change her life. This is the scene where she gets on the train. Everything I know about the play, I'll write on there. Once I've done that, then I get out my 3x5 note cards. And this is a little trick I stole from screenwriters. I will take all the points on the map, and each point will have its own note card. And on this note card, I write the scene, the scene skeleton. And in that skeleton, I use who is in the scene, who, what, where, when, why, basically. So who, what happens, where does it happen, when does it happen, and why. And the why is really important because it's like a twofold question. And sometimes we don't know the answer when we're writing because it's a mystery. But sometimes we do know. Like if she loses her ring and we need her to lose her ring because that's the whole plot point on which she decides to leave town and go find the ring which she left in another country, then we need to know that. And if it usually also has something to do with why in the bigger story, why she has to lose that ring in order to get to the ending. So it's a moment when we can think about how is the scene working in the play. So as you go forward with that, you might carry these cards around in your pocket. And between this and the playlist that you've created to listen to at all hours, you may think your play starts to grow itself. And as you think of things you want to write down, you can jot each new scene that you think of down on this card. Or if you think, oh, I've just learned something about that scene where she loses the ring, you can jot that down on the card. You start to take notes and collect, and the play starts to kind of grow magically on its own. So those are little pointers on growing structure. And then once you have those note cards, you can lie them across the table, and hopefully you're able to write your play one by one, taking each note card and writing that scene. Next note card, write that scene. Next note card, write that scene. And once it's finished, you can see where you might have missed something. So that's what I have for you today on structure.